Welcome to Royal Secret. The grandeur of royal diplomacy was on full display as Denmark stepped boldly onto the global stage, embracing a moment that carried the weight of history, the urgency of the present, and the hope of the future. It was a spectacle of unity and strategic vision that captivated not only Danes but citizens across Europe and far beyond. As King Frederik and Queen Mary of Denmark walked into the dazzling ceremonial chamber, a wave of anticipation rippled through the air. Cameras flashed, world leaders whispered, and the future of the European Union subtly pivoted on the royal couple's poised shoulders. This wasn't just protocol or pageantry, it was the start of something monumental. Denmark had officially launched its 6-month presidency of the Council of the European Union under the resounding theme, "A Strong Europe in a Changing World." And there, at the center of it all, stood the Danish monarch and his queen consort, embodying both the symbolic heart of a nation and the strategic voice of a continent. With dignified calm and undeniable charm, King Frederik took his place among European power players not merely as a ceremonial figure but as a deeply respected symbol of continuity and democratic tradition. Queen Mary, ever elegant and insightful, radiated confidence beside him, her presence reminding everyone that strength in modern Europe is not only measured by military might or economic figures, but also by humanity, grace, and resilience. As leaders from across the European Union arrived in Copenhagen, welcomed with a uniquely Danish blend of formality and warmth, the city transformed into a diplomatic epicenter. Streets were lined with Danish and EU flags fluttering proudly in the summer breeze. The symbolic architecture of Borsen and Christiansborg stood tall, witnessing the unfolding of an era-defining moment. The red carpet wasn't just rolled out for prestige, it was rolled out for purpose. And King Frederik and Queen Mary were ready. From the moment King Frederik opened his remarks, it became clear this presidency was going to be anything but routine. His voice, steady, clear, and filled with conviction, cut through the ornate chambers and into the hearts of those watching live. He spoke of unity, responsibility, and vision. He did not shy away from addressing the global challenges Europe faces: climate change, economic uncertainty, digital transformation, migration pressures, and growing geopolitical tensions. But more than that, he emphasized the spirit of cooperation, the necessity for mutual understanding, and the Danish promise to facilitate constructive dialogue across all 27 member states. Queen Mary's role, though less formal on paper, was just as impactful. Her schedule was packed with key meetings, cultural showcases, and diplomatic receptions. Yet she moved through every event with an authenticity that left even seasoned diplomats in awe. Whether engaging with visiting spouses of EU leaders, championing causes close to her heart such as gender equality and mental health, or hosting intimate cultural dinners, Queen Mary's presence was magnetic. In many ways, she became the human face of the presidency, balancing the technical with the emotional, the political with the personal. The couple's unity was evident not only in their shared goals but in their body language, in the way they communicated without words, and in the unwavering respect they showed each other in public. The world watched as King Frederik would glance proudly at Queen Mary during moments of applause. And she, in turn, would nod with gentle pride as he spoke boldly on Denmark's commitment to the EU. It was a partnership that felt both modern and timeless, a symbol of the values Denmark hoped to bring to the EU table. As the presidency commenced, it was clear that Denmark had a strategic roadmap. The government had laid out key priorities in sustainability, security, innovation, and inclusion. Yet what made this presidency truly unique was how the royal couple became natural amplifiers of these goals. They didn't overstep political lines, but their influence was felt in powerful, understated ways. Their public appearances at green energy forums, tech innovation hubs, and youth dialogues across the country demonstrated not only support but genuine curiosity and involvement. Behind the scenes, Queen Mary met with NGOs and youth leaders, encouraging deeper civic engagement. She highlighted how Denmark's presidency could be a springboard for long-term collaboration across borders. King Frederik convened think tanks, listened intently to economists and military advisors, and made a concerted effort to bridge gaps between old EU member states and newer ones. This wasn't merely diplomacy, it was royal activism, quiet, deliberate, and deeply effective. The eyes of the world remained fixed on Denmark not just because of the formal proceedings, but because of how the nation, and particularly its monarchs, had made the EU presidency something people could connect with. They made it human. They made it compelling. From viral moments of Queen Mary comforting a young refugee child during a visit to a reception center, to King Frederik breaking into a rare smile during a live panel when discussing Denmark's role in AI ethics, these moments went beyond policy, they touched people. Meanwhile, Danish citizens felt a renewed pride. The EU flag, often a symbol seen only in news broadcasts, suddenly became part of local school events, neighborhood discussions, and kitchen table debates. The King and Queen had brought Europe closer to home in a way politicians rarely manage to do. And international media began praising Denmark's presidency not only for its procedural success but for the tone it had set, hopeful, inclusive, and forward-looking. Queen Mary, in a particularly moving address at the Danish Royal Library during a cultural diplomacy evening, spoke softly but powerfully about the importance of identity in a unified Europe. She spoke of her own journey, from Tasmania to the Danish throne, and how her personal story was a reflection of what Europe could be. A place where differences enrich rather than divide, where shared values transcend borders, and where every voice, regardless of accent, origin, or tradition, matters. As the weeks progressed, Denmark led critical negotiations on green investment strategies, proposed innovative digital regulation models, and hosted high-level defense coordination meetings. All under the gentle but steady gaze of the royal couple, who never faded into the background. They remained, like a steady lighthouse, guiding not just their nation but a whole continent through uncertain waters. And yet, beyond the formal achievements, there remained something more elusive and more precious: trust. Denmark's presidency had sparked a resurgence of trust in the EU project. A belief that Europe could, in fact, adapt to a changing world without losing its soul. That sovereignty and solidarity weren't contradictions. And much of that belief had been bolstered by the quiet dignity and unwavering dedication of King Frederik and Queen Mary. As the midpoint of the presidency approached, global headlines turned toward what came next. Could this momentum be sustained? Would Denmark's example inspire the next presiding nation? And how would the royal couple continue to influence Denmark's role in global affairs beyond the presidency? One thing was clear: this was not a ceremonial reign. This was leadership in its purest, most refined form. And in the eyes of the people, both Danish and European, King Frederik and Queen Mary had emerged not only as monarchs, but as moral compasses, cultural ambassadors, and guardians of a Europe that still dares to dream. And so, as the EU flag continues to fly high alongside the red and white of Denmark, and as the clock ticks through these historic 6 months, one question remains for all of us watching this transformative moment unfold. In a world that seems to change with every heartbeat, could this be the kind of leadership we've been waiting for all along? Would you want to see more royal leadership like this guiding Europe into the future?